Front-end development is not enough these days to break into tech. You need to know a full stack development. My name's David, and I'm a freelance web developer, currently filming this video from Seoul, South Korea, as I'm doing some traveling throughout Asia. It's been raining all day. I was working at a coffee shop on the side, one of the side here, and it stopped raining for a bit, so I took a break. I'm taking a break right now, and taking a walk and making you this video in the meantime. Because when I first was getting into tech back in 2020, I did a lot of research about the best ways to break into tech, and I wanted to be strategic about it because I knew this was a tough endeavor, and I wanted to have a good strategy going in. And then I actually got inspired by this one YouTuber. His name was Aaron Jack, and he argues that as someone transitioning into tech, you should focus on front-end development. And he argues that a lot of the computer science graduates from universities tend to focus a lot more on the back end, and because of that, there will be less competition in the front end, and you should focus on that. And this logic made a lot of sense to me. So I decided to focus more on the front end. And then with my bootcamp as well, I prioritized the front end. The bootcamp prioritized the front end as well. As in, we learned the front end first. We learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and that kind of laid out the foundation for us as developers. And then after the first project, which was front end only, the instructor told us that we were job ready for just this, knowing just this part of development, just the front end development. And also by me prioritizing front end, it meant that like when we did group projects, I would try to take on the front end parts when just the concepts, I would get care more about the front end more in general. I had flaws in the back end. I remember this one project I had an incomplete in because I just didn't know how to do model view controller. So I just had weaknesses in the back end part. So then the bootcamp ended, and I felt confident with the front end part, but not so confident with the back end part. And then I started applying for jobs. And when I started applying for jobs, they will have technical interviews asking about back end stuff for like all the title of the job openings as like software engineer, software dev, web dev, and they would ask about database APIs in my coding interviews, and then I would just bomb them all. I remember one interview I had that I was really excited for. They targeted coding bootcamp grads, which I was, and I thought I was perfect for it. I passed the technical screening for the interview and had a panel interview with the engineers on the team. And I remember they were asking me about databases, and they asked me about what relationships should be used for this database case. And I told them, and I wasn't sure, and I just said one of many. And they all kind of paused for a second, kind of looked disappointed, asked if I was sure, and I didn't know what the answer was, so I just said yes. And the answer actually was, they never told me, but looking back, it was many of the many, and I didn't get that job. I didn't get a job offer from them. So there was numerous scenarios where I had back-end interviews, questions during the technical interviews that I didn't know, that I failed. So I had to brush up on my back-end. Whatever weaknesses you have from your coding knowledge, you have to brush up on. And for me, it was the back end. And I did that. I prioritized it a lot. And then eventually, I was able to get an internship And it was, luckily the technical interview was just a front-end project. Well, they had an option of doing a front-end or a back-end. So I chose the front-end one, and I was able to pass it, and they were impressed by it. But the internship consisted of full stack web development. And then when I finally got my full-time job, it first started off as a front-end role, and then later it transitioned to become a full stack role. So, and I sense that a lot of the engineers on the team were nervous making this transition to full stack after they've been in a front-end role. But that's what the company needed. So we all had to go from front-end to full stack. And then I just see this trend going on about needing more full stack. There's like engineering practices, reasons, like they want engineers to take ownership of a particular product, and it'll be faster to deliver it by having full stack developers rather than having a front-end team passing it on to a back-end team. And it's not just the engineering reasons, it's the economy reason as well, where the economy is getting tougher, as we all know, and engineers gets cut, so engineers have more responsibilities. So they have to be responsible for more of the technology, more of the tech stack of the application. So this will include front end and back end, and it's not just front end and back end, it's DevOps, some degree of product management, some degree of design, some AI stuff. So the trend for responsibilities because of the slower economy requires you to know a wider range of technologies. And lastly, the technologies are trending towards this way as well. More technologies and frameworks are trending towards full stack, tying things together, like Next.js, tying like server-side with React, and like convicts, tying the APIs and the database. The technologies are trending to be coupled together. So because the technologies, the engineering, the economy is moving towards full stack, that is what you needed to know if you're trying to enter into tech in today's market. So you can't have any weaknesses in your development skills. If you're weak on front end, brush it up. If you're weak on your back end, brush that up until you do that until you can be ready to apply for jobs if you're an aspiring dev. That's all for this video. If you need help with a project, you want to hire a dev to get your app idea created, feel free to message me, as I'm a freelance web developer. If you need help learning how to code, I do coaching as well, where I work with you one-on-one to help grow your coding skills. Thank you so much for watching.